the thing about making and losing money, like for me, I don't gamble, but I invest in stocks.
Sure.
So before I started, I read Warren Buffett's book. And then I read the book of the guy he learned from and started reading a lot of stuff and everything else like that. And the thing about investing, and you could say the same thing about gambling, it's just, gaining and losing money, is it all comes down to emotions. The thing that I learned about emotions is that a person will have the same emotional reaction to winning $10,000 that they do to losing $1,000. Do you see what I'm saying with this?
Okay.
Meaning that you could win $10,000 and be really happy, and you could be just as upset losing only $1,000. Meaning that there is a huge discrepancy when you lose. You lose $1,000, it feels like, your life is over. You win $10,000, you're happy, but then people, that's the house's money anyways. I'm just gonna gamble it again and then end up losing it all anyways. You see what I'm saying? So being able to control your emotions really is the difference between people who make a lot of money and who say, it's all a scam, I'm just gonna quit. Do you agree with this?
So it's a twofold answer. The first is, which I'll answer more surfacely, that's the difference between a recreational gambler and a professional gambler. So we understand that we're not playing with money, we're playing with units. It's only money when you're buying in and cashing out. But while you're gambling, they're just units. If I bought in for $10 and I had 10 $1 chips, or I bought in for $1 million and I had 10 $100,000 chips, my units is the same. I'm still betting 1 chip or 2 chips or 3 chips. And a lot of people that are recreational gamblers can't decipher that. To them, they're betting money, and that makes them emotional, and it changes the way they play, and it totally screws up everything for them. It really minimizes their chance of walking away a winner. There's so much going on when you correlate it directly to money. Then what I think is interesting, actually, if you're not familiar, I'll just tell you, do you know what makes a gambling addict?
What makes a gambling addict? Someone that will continue gambling even when they know it's hurting them. It's hurting their lifestyle, their family, themselves, but they continue to do it.
That's a good and accurate part of the answer, and the answer is very complex. There's many components. One thing, when you lose gambling, your brain releases a chemical, and your brain becomes addicted to that chemical. That chemical doesn't get released when you win. So you could win as much as you want, and your brain is still craving the feeling of the chemical that only gets released when you lose, which is why a lot of gambling addicts aren't necessarily bad gamblers. They're not bad at anything, but they don't realize their brain is addicted to the feeling of the chemical that gets released when they lose, which is why they keep going back. They can't call it quits. They can't anything.
Because they want to lose.
Subconsciously, because their brain is craving the feeling of that chemical being released. And they don't even realize it. I mean, how many stories have you heard is, I should have walked away while I was up. I was winning and then I stopped. Then I lost. Why didn't you pull me? Yo, bro, why didn't you pull me away when I was up? And the guy's like, well, I tried and you said you wanted to keep playing. They don't realize that subconsciously their brain's addicted to the chemical being released when they lose.
Like I said, I invest in stocks. And sometimes when I give just general guidelines in terms of what I do, because you can't really give stock advice. But when I say, hey, when I invest, I do this, this, and this, a lot of people say, well, that's no different than gambling. Stock investing, gambling, you could win, you could lose. It's the exact same thing. Do you agree with that?
Very closely, I would say they are aligned. Stocks and card games.
Do you ever invest in stocks?
I don't. I am not. For me to become educated enough to be confident and make reasonable decisions and investments in stocks, I would have to stop everything I'm doing in life and for a very extended period of time study before I placed a single investment, and I'm just unwilling to devote the time.
That's a good way of looking at it. I can tell you there is a primal difference between the two. Gambling is a zero-sum game, right? You play, whether you win or lose, nothing actually changes. There's no assets that are transferred. Money gets transferred one way or another. When you invest in stocks or real estate or a piece of a company that you buy outright, You're actually buying something. You see what I'm saying?
Sure.
So, for example, I own Amazon stock. I own a percentage of the stock. If Amazon continues to do well over time, my stock will become more valuable because the company as a whole is worth more, so my percentage becomes more valuable. If the company starts to lose money over time, the company will be worth less, and what I have is now less valuable. It's very different than gambling, because at the end of, no matter what happens, you don't own a piece of the casino when you walk away.
Right.
Nor does the casino own a piece of your future earnings if you lose. So that's kind of the difference. And, I'm not a gambler. Whenever I've walked into a casino, I look around and I see the billion-dollar property and I say, this was all built off people losing.
100%. You know that if people didn't lose, casinos can't exist.
Of course. That was obvious to me in the very beginning.
Yeah.
It was just completely obvious to me. I'm like, this is all built. The entire operation, all the staff, all the food, all the cops, the electricity, the advertising.
Yeah.
It's all built off people losing and losing and losing and coming back and losing and so forth.
Yeah.
Have you ever heard of a guy named Terry Watanabe? Terry Watanabe lost over $200 million.
Oh, yeah. Oh, he's the Asian guy.
The Asian guy.
Yeah, he had a GoFundMe recently for his cancer.
Yes.
Yes, I know this guy.
I think when his...
It's a toy company. Right?
Yeah, it was called like Oriental Trading Company. It was like little toys and whatever else.
Yeah.
He sold it and started going to Caesars.
Yep.
And he got to a level, they created a level for him. They actually created a level. You know how you have the different levels as gamblers, whatever
7
else?
stars at Caesars, yeah.
They created a whole new level for him.
Yeah.
And he lost over $200 million.
Right, yeah.
They allowed him to play while he was stone drunk. They gave him, tickets to shows.
He sued them for that. He lost.
He lost, and the casino was fined. Well, the casino was fined $225,000.
Yeah, and $200 million, no problem.
After $200 million, I think that's a pretty good. Yeah, and ultimately, at the end of the day, he became so broke that he couldn't even pay for his own cancer treatment. He had to start a GoFundMe. I've been trying to interview this guy forever.
Yeah.
And, I've been talking to someone, they're like, oh, he's got a movie deal in the works or something. But I remember seeing a video about this, and I was just, floored.
Yeah.
Have you seen situations like this as well?
Yeah, all the time.
So guys just go completely in the hole, go from being wealthy to being completely broke.
Yeah, it even happened in my family. Like, my same great uncle, the guy who, won the casino in a card game and lost it back. Like, he lost everything. That great uncle. I think I don't want to be rude, but I'm pretty sure he died with nothing left. Don't quote me on that because I don't really know. He and I weren't close. He's obviously much older, but he passed away a long time ago, and I'm pretty sure he died with nothing.